This is the Stock Trading Reality Podcast, episode 55.
I posted in, holy crap, that was scary. My hands are shaking. And you called me out and said, well, clearly you don't know what you're doing or you're trading with too big a size.
This is the Stock Trading Reality Podcast, where you get to see the realistic side of a trader's journey. Get inspired and stay motivated by everyday normal people who are currently on their journey to trading success. And this is your host. He does not own a Lamborghini. What a loser. ClayTrader.
And you know what? I don't have a yacht. I don't have multiple mansions around the world. I don't go on exotic vacations. I guess I'm just a loser according to the late night infomercial marketing tactics that somehow say that in order to be successful in the world, you got to have all this fancy stuff. But that's not me. Jez, do you have a Lamborghini?
No, but I have a motorcycle, but that's a relatively low-cost toy compared to a Lamborghini.
So do you think you're better than me then because you got a motorcycle?
No, I'm actually selling my motorcycle, so I'm trying to get closer to your level.
Yeah, my level of bum, is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
You know, I had to do that fun fact just because our community, it's got to be one of the weirdo ones out there because instead of sitting around and like posting pictures of how much, our cars or this or that, we like sit around and talk about, hey, I just saved money in this way. Hey, I just saved money in that way. Do you get the impression that I think we're a little bit bizarre compared to a lot of, a little odd compared?
We're definitely on the flip side of a lot of things that most people, when you tell them, I trade, if it does come out, I trade, and they go, oh, you must, how many vacation houses do you have? And, what kind of car do you drive? And I go, my fiance cuts my hair and I just saved $100 on my phone bill per month. Like, these are things that are important to me.
Yeah. It's been I think I need to brag in the chat room because that's it. My wife cuts my hair too. So that's the things we brag about is like, oh yeah, well I save money this way. Oh yeah, well I save money this way. So if you're kind of somebody that's more so, I don't even know what the term is, but maybe normal, maybe not been totally brainwashed by the late night infomercial stuff. I think you might find our community worthwhile. Which actually, now that I think about that, in the interview, which we've already recorded, that fit in perfectly. We had a good moment about late night infomercial marketing. So this all kind of is fitting together, unintended, but very nicely. Would you agree with that, Chuz? Do you remember what I'm talking about in the interview?
Yep, I would completely agree.
Yeah, so that's good. I like when things work out like this. Anyways, we'll get to the interview here, but today we were talking with SuperDave. That is the alias he goes by in the chat room. So for those of you that are in there, not even really routinely, because he's a very valuable member. He's very active. He's been working very, very hard. And in fact, if you want to give me an excuse, I'm probably going to give you SuperDave, because as you hear in the interview, he's made quite a few sacrifices and he's the reason why I'm not too sympathetic when I start to hear excuses about why people can't do this and, oh, that's not going to work out and this, that, and the other. SuperDave, this interview is probably something that I can now refer people to because he kind of really squashes all the try of excuses out there. But I had a really good time with it. I know Ches had a really good time with it. He's been around for a while, and he's gone through quite a few ups and downs and things where, I'm not going to ruin it. Let's just hop right in. So let's talk with SuperDave. All right, Dave, welcome to the show. How's it going?
Excellent today. Thank you.
Well, I don't know how excellent it's going to be going. Just before we started recording this live, Dave, elbows me saying, I know it's cold where you are, but me and Ches, we're in nice warm weather. So I'm not quite sure that was the smartest move on Dave's part to start off before even going live, rubbing my face into the fact that I'm surrounded by cold weather. Ches, do you think we should, you don't really mind, but do you think I should get a little tricky with them now?
No, I'm actually, on the full backing of Dave over here because I'm also enjoying the warmth, and it's fun to watch you squirm and get upset about it.
It is, yeah. He probably hook, line, and sinker. He knew what button to press. He pressed it.
He pretty much baited you, and you fell into his snare.
And
exactly.
I'm in a snare right now. So Look, I'll be a man about it. Dave, well done. Hook, line, and sinker. If I was a fish, I'd be on the grill right now. And
That's true.
that's, I guess that is what it is. So, in all seriousness, though, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to hang out with us. So, Dave was telling us that he's listened to all the podcasts. He's one episode behind, so he kind of knows what he's about to get into, and I'm sure he knows what question is coming his way right now. But Dave, where did you hear about the market? What got you interested to the point of actually wanting to get a little bit more proactive with it?
Well, about 1993, I transferred to North Carolina, and I was working for a large accounting firm and met up with one of their clients who was doing some day trading with what I didn't know about at that time was options, never heard of them. But it turns out he was doing covered calls with Microsoft, and he kept trying to introduce me and get me involved in that. And it seemed a little risky, and I didn't have any knowledge on it, so I just went the easy route and sat down and did mutual funds and such with the company I was working with.
So yeah, I would say most people, the way to kind of have it makes much more sense to have somebody else kind of manage your money or be in a diversified fund, like you said, like those mutual funds. But then you got this guy over here, intraday trading, covered calls and stuff, which actually seems pretty funny to me. But I'm sure it was absolutely mind blowing at that time. So you're in these mutual funds now. Were you watching any of these closely, or was this kind of something like your retirement funds that you're checking in maybe every couple months or once a year?
Well, because I was just introduced into it, I sat on it and watched it like every day for a while, and then realized I was just going to drive myself crazy watching it go up a buck or down a buck or whatever it did. And I just finally turned it off and looked at it once a month, and just let it sit that way and left it alone.
How'd that work for you? Because what sticks out to me is you're watching it every day, which tells me you had some interest in it and you maybe subconsciously wanted to get a little bit more proactive. So when you decided, I'm only going to watch this once a month, was there still like voices in your head that were saying, hey, why don't you check a little bit more? Or did you do a good job going kind of cold turkey?
I did a good job going cold turkey with that, but about that same time that I turned my back on the mutual fund, I met up with another gentleman who he and his father had been buying shares of GE forever and ever, and they just buy them and hold them and watch them split and buy them, hold them and watch them split over time. And I came to realize how large a smart investment that was since he started with his father, because by now they were well over $1 million.
And what year was this when you got transferred to North Carolina? And just so we can try to kind of piece together an actual timeline. Within a couple of years, do you remember what year this was?
1993, March 23rd.
Okay, pretty precise there. So this is way back in. I like this because for me, when I got involved in the markets, I think I take a lot of things. Ches, I'll speak for him too. We both take a lot for granted because when we got in the markets, online, there's cable modems and all that sort of stuff. So it was always pretty fast. So, when you say you would watch the markets every day in 1993, was that like through the newspaper, or was the internet still powerful enough to be able to, I guess, how exactly did you watch it every day back in the 90s before Ches and I were even around in the markets?
Well, as I said, I worked for a big accounting firm, but prior to going down there, I actually worked for a giant software company modifying programs and source code for an accounting software package, which is why they sought me out and brought me down there. So I was in a wing of that accounting department that had some pretty powerful software packages and computers, and I could actually go and look at my mutual funds and various other things during the day. I had enough computing power and enough software packages to be able to do that.
Yeah, you're definitely above kind of the average computer and internet speeds, obviously, for kind of the work and business you're doing. So that's actually pretty cool. But I want to kind of, repeat what kind of Clay was bringing up, though, is the fact that, you had kind of you forced yourself to only check on these funds, once a month. Totally is like a huge, red flag that you are totally more interested in trading than you might, you were obviously busy with a job at that point, but you already seemed like you had the bug then. So, you're meeting more and more traders. What is kind of the next step for you? Because I feel like you're going to start getting more active after, this millionaire who's been buying GE and kind of doing buy and holding and investing. Are you thinking that it's maybe smart of you to start allocating some funds to, some blue chip companies, or, are you still going to just jump immediately to kind of something that's more short term like that, but he was trading options?
I stayed where I was for quite a while until, I don't know, about 4 or 5 years ago. I just watched my mutual fund and said, I'm going to get involved in this. I read various books. I've got a fairly good library of trading books here, so I kept my interest peaked and just looked for more and more information to figure out how I could get in and do this like my friend who was doing his options could do, with something that I was comfortable with.
And you said this was about 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah, I think I don't know exactly when. I'd have to check. I'm guessing more around 4.5 years.
All right, so we'll just call it 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So all this got started though in '93. So we're talking about literally over 10 years where you were just pretty hands off. I mean, you knew what the market was about, and you knew that there were some different strategies out there that you could do. But I mean, literally over 10 years, you just remained pretty much hands off, right?
Well, I moved my mutual fund around from time to time based on where the market was going to a riskier portfolio or a more conservative portfolio based on how I felt for the year.
Okay, that's interesting. How I felt for the year. What were you using to give yourself these feelings?
General market overview, watching and listening, to the talking heads, Kramer and various other people screaming about this thing and that thing, really sort of floundering around guessing, more or less.
Yeah, which is, I mean, I think everybody starts there when they say that my feelings. So I felt this and I felt that. I think if you were to ask somebody what I asked you, I'm pretty sure 90% of people would say, well, it was really just the feelings generated from, the headlines or the magazine subscription that I get, or, the internet or whatever. So, so at this point, like you said, your feelings were just being generated by pretty much the media. Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely. Completely
okay.
fair.
What got you to the point of actually wanting to read books about trading, though? I mean, did something happen? You're like, I think I should maybe get a little more proactive in terms of learning on my own, or did you have a bad experience maybe listening to one of these talking heads that then kind of forced you into wanting to read books, or is it just something that you've always been interested in? I mean, what got you actually wanting to read books? Because my parents, they're aware of the markets. They remind me, okay, yeah, we have mutual funds and that sort of stuff, but they have never gone into the path of actually reading books. So what pushed you over that kind of ledge into wanting to really get more, involved?
Well, the guy that traded options sounded pretty intriguing, and I knew that he was very successful because I handled the accounting software for his businesses. And so I started picking up books on options trading to try and figure out how on earth that worked. And I managed to get my hand on a candlestick chart book as well. And started reading on that type of thing much later on. I got to the candlestick book, but otherwise, yeah, I just wanted to read about options, and I never really understood them until I took the options course here.
Okay, which was a lot later on in your journey then. So, which I'm sure we'll come up to that. But yeah, those books on options. I mean, I'm not going to speak to all of them, but did it help you understand it all, or did it almost just confuse you more? This is just me asking out of curiosity.
I was completely lost.
Ches, do you have any experience with options, quote unquote books? I mean,
I do, and I just want to completely agree with you in the sense that it almost feels like it's written for somebody who needs a PhD in mathematics. They just don't make it very simple when they dive right in saying, well, you better be checking your Vega because otherwise your theta numbers are going to be off. And if you're not at the correct expiration, guys, I mean, what are you doing out there? And you're trying to read this as a beginner in the market, and it just will go way over your head. But I'm a little bit upset at Dave because he answered a question before I even got to ask it. And I was going to say, are you still using line charts at this time? But you had looked into candlesticks already. So dang it, he's already trying to get off the line charts. And he's moving ahead in his trading journey.
I got a comment, though, just on the whole topic of when I was first getting into options. And for you longtime listeners, you know my story here, but I just refused option. I'm like, no, I'm not smart enough. That stuff's way too complicated. It's too hard. I'm never going to get into options trading. And the words that would always make me crap my pants whenever I'd even dig into it was, intrinsic value and extrinsic value. And I would see those. I'm like, all right, what is this stuff even? Peace out. Like, just little things like that. Like, I swear these books and blog posts and stuff, people are just trying to explain it to make themselves sound super smart. And so I'm glad we can all relate to, I mean, that was always my crap my pants words, was intrinsic value and extrinsic value. So, I mean, did anybody want to?
I'm still there right now. I have to leave the room.
We prefer to have things taught in a much simpler form. And yeah, Clay, you're very good at taking difficult things and putting them into childlike replications of it. So,
I mean, that's just how my mind works. I'm sorry, but I mean, when you use big words like that, it literally, I have to go change my underwear. So you got to just keep it, you got to keep it simple. So I don't even know where, oh yeah, so let's get a little bit back on track here, but I'm always fascinated when people are reading about options, because I feel like if it's anything close to my experience, they probably had a bad first impression of them. But so let's go back to, you said, 5 years ago, we went with that number. You're getting a little bit more involved, or you want to take a little bit more action. So let's go back 5 years now. And where were you at this point?
Well, I was watching on television every morning before I head off to work, market reports and things like that. And I was watching Fox and Friends one morning when a very loud, obnoxious man came on and screamed about how fantastic he was and what he was creating and how he was making all these millionaires. And I went, I'm going to look into this now. I'm tired of hearing about this.
Uh-oh. Do we want to know what guy is proclaiming this? Because I
really don't want to send this guy any traffic. So I think
we won't send it, but at least we're all on the same page here. That gosh, that's the fact that's on the major news just always blows my mind.
So I think I can finish up your journey. So you followed this person, and you are now a multimillionaire, right? Is that
exactly? No.
So all right, you heard about this guy. Did you go and pursue it at all? And walk us through that whole experience.
Yeah. Here's the embarrassing part. Yeah, I made the phone call because I thought, I'm tired of sitting on the sidelines. I'm going to get involved in this, and this guy seems to know something. And so I went to his website and I read all his stuff, and I actually pulled the trigger on his package, which, if I could tell anybody anything, is always trust your gut. And I went, nah, I'm not comfortable with this, but I did it anyway.
So interesting. So when your mouse was clicking that button, it was just kind of like it wasn't a smooth click of the button. Is that kind of an accurate way to describe it?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So I mean, tell us about this package. I mean, did it work? Did you learn anything? Did you get anything out of it? Because honestly, I don't know much about it, other than I feel it's very overpriced. But I mean, I don't know.
Amazingly overpriced, and it's sitting in a place in the bottom cabinet in my office right now and gathering dust. I looked at a few of them, and the guy jumps around and screams, and he's absolutely crazy.
So I mean, I'd like to give, was there any value at all, or was it pretty much just like, this is way too confusing because nothing's constructed I mean, was it just kind of a disaster?
No, I will give constructive. There was definitely some good things there. I learned about shorting, and I found that to be something that I'm very comfortable with. I'm a very, very conservative, dogmatic person, and I like things predictable. And up is not as predictable as down is. For some reason, I feel very comfortable with down. You've all heard stairs up and elevator down, and I liked shorting. And I got that from him, and I credit him that I did pull the trigger and jumped in the market with this and learned some things. Opened my first account because of him that was an active trading account. So props there.
Okay, yeah. Like I said, I think it's totally overpriced, but we got to be as fair as possible too. So I appreciate. So there were some things that you gained from it too. So that's good. I mean, but at the end of the day, overall, what would you grade it?
Wow. I'd give it a C.
Okay.
It works for a lot of people. It didn't work for me. I finally did figure out a strategy that made me a little money, but otherwise I was bleeding slowly to death.
Okay. Yeah. I feel like that strategy that's taught, it's very specialized, and you need certain stocks, and it's just, we'll just leave it at that. And then when a lot of people are following a certain strategy in an illiquid market, it just
Musical
doesn't-
chairs.
Yeah, it's a game of musical chairs is what it turns into when everybody's trying to do something, with very limited liquidity. But anyway, so you do that, and you said, you're slowly bleeding. So where is kind of your next step from here? You bought the product, you're gone through it, but now to give credit, got you to open up an active trading account. What was it? Please don't tell me it was SureTrader.
Crickets.
We got him. Well, I was there with you, Dave. You can't come too hard at him, Clay. I was there.
I know. No, I don't blame anybody. I'm just that sounds about right. So so not only did you buy his course, but you also got him some affiliate money too. So good job. I mean, you paying for his. Never mind. Anyways, so you're bleeding. Your account is bleeding a little bit. And at what point did you decide? You know what? My account is bleeding, because I guess that's the first step, right? You just have to acknowledge that something's just not quite right. So what finally helped you acknowledge that something just wasn't right, and then where did you go from there?
Well, I'd opened up the account with $2,500, and in a year I was sitting looking at probably $1,000, and I just bled slowly down with not gigantic losses, just daily losses, not seeing the patterns, not seeing any type of trend, not understanding movement of stocks, just looking at the alerts in the room and puppet trading the alerts.
Now, when you reach kind of this breaking point where you completely recognize that you're just, it's not clicking in the sense of you're not even breaking even at this point. It's just kind of a slow grind down. Did you halt your trading and decide that you need to rework it, or did you have kind of a limit on your account that you're going to stop trading altogether and then maybe revisit another strategy? What is going through your mind at this point as it's kind of slowly bleeding out?
Well, I doubled down and added more to my account, figuring, I'm just about to make the change. I'll just about make the
Right, the breakthrough.
I'll make the breakthrough, and there it'll be. And
Yep.
So I put more money in my account, and started also looking around to see if there were some other ideas out there. I found, oddly, one strategy that did work for me, that while everybody was screaming about this stock going to go up and they're going to make 50 cents, I went, I think I'm going to short that when it gets to the top. And I actually took money off out of the trades that way.
So you're making some profitable trades, at least.
Small ones, but yeah, making some profitable trades at the end.
Now, let me ask this. Your losing trades that you were taking during this period, were they pretty much wiping away all the gains, or was it, how was the risk versus reward? Was it kind of lopsided, or was, well, I guess you were slowly bleeding. So at the end of the day, any wins you had were just getting overwhelmed by the losses. Is that pretty accurate?
Exactly. Yeah, okay. Exactly. And I focused on, look, I won, and didn't focus so much on losing 4 days out of 5.
So interesting. So you would focus on the one day that you won out of the 5, and your mind would just totally ignore the 4 days where you lost. Is that what you're saying there?
Yeah, pretty much.
The mind is a tricky place, isn't it?
Mind is a surely tricky place.
Yep. Yeah, we remember all the good stuff and forget some of the bad.
Exactly. And with the bad stuff is always somebody else's fault. I mean, I think.
Exactly. It was his fault, not mine.
Yeah. So that's always interesting when you look, and just when you've been around, it's just, I get thrown under the bus all the time. So I definitely understand that. But I'll be the first to admit, I mean, when I got first started, it was everybody's fault other than my own. But I don't know about you guys, but I've never had anybody with like a gun to my head saying, push the buy button now. I've never had that. So I'm pretty sure at the end of the day, it was always me. So now you said you started to find or look for another strategy, and you found one that was working, and it involved shorting, but I'm assuming that things were still off a little bit. So where did you kind of go, when you finally discovered, something's still not quite right? Where did you go from there?
Well, I saw a link to another affiliate of his, and that gentleman is from, just a couple towns over from where I was pretty much born and raised in New Hampshire. And I looked at his site on a test drive, and he's a Momo trader, all about momentum, and he is really good at it. And he's got a couple people in his room who are really good at it. And I Once again, clicked the button to buy, and I shouldn't have done that one either. So now I was into training for, well, gee whiz, approaching $10,000.
Well, I got to give you some credit, even though obviously right now you can look back and say, well, I shouldn't have done that. The thing I really want listeners to get out of this is though you were willing to invest in yourself. Granted, they weren't the best products you ended up getting
Good
in your
point.
opinion.
Good
But
point, Chaz.
you were willing to kind of, instead of just putting, another $5,000 in your SureTrader account and keep kind of plugging away, you were willing to say, I want to find somebody or some place that can at least try to help me progress. And you recognize that, you got to put the money in first before it's going to you're going to get those dividends to pay out later. So I know who you're talking about and all of this now. Did you ever have these feelings? Because I feel like Clay and I have heard this on podcasts before. Other people have joined certain services because they're close and they think, oh, I'm going to, befriend this guy and maybe we'll go hang out and grab lunch sometime. Did you ever have any thoughts like that, Dave? Because we've had many guests who kind of have had those thoughts and, the fact that the guy is regionally close to them is appealing.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the guy in New Hampshire, because I recognize the name. I probably went to school with his parents or cousins or something. So I thought, oh, someday I'll get back up to New Hampshire and I'll stop in and say hi to him. I know exactly where he is. I used to go to a college right around the corner from him and take bagpiping lessons with my instructor. I knew exactly where he lived.
So like Ches was saying, it sounds like you just knew where he was. You could relate to him. So because of that, that's what, pushed you over the final, hump to, make the purchase. And was that chat room, is that more of a buy signals? Like you're saying, I'm buying this, or walk us through what were the dynamics of the chat room? Probably a better way to phrase the question.
Yeah, there were a lot of really good traders in there, and there still are. I occasionally look at him still when he's up on Twitter. I don't look at Twitter a lot, but there was a lot of support and resistance, although he didn't call them that. He referred to them as lines in the sand. I want to see this bump its head here a couple times. I'm looking for a high of the day reject here. But he didn't talk about patterns. He didn't talk about any other signals other than, that line in the sand. And he was going to be looking for volume to come in here to support it. He understood everything, but it wasn't taught in bare bones, this is what I'm looking for.
Okay, so totally. So we never really outlined exactly how to structure a plan around what he was actually saying. Is that a fair kind of statement?
For me, I'd say yes. There were others that were more successful at it than I was, but it just didn't. Once again, it didn't appeal to me. It didn't give me the structure I needed from a standpoint of a computer programmer. I'm looking for ones and zeros. The switch is on or the switch is off.
And not to mention, I mean, all those chat rooms, they're pretty expensive, aren't they? So I would think in the back of your mind the whole time, you're like, well, crap, I just spent all this money for this chat room access. Now I got to get my money's worth. So that's probably even forcing you to trade that or want to trade that much more. I mean, that's how it would be for me. Is that kind of how you were feeling too, given you made these big payments?
Yeah, it was. And I'll also add in that when I really got to the point where I'm looking at all this money that I spent, I backed up and looked at it like college. There's a whole lot of courses you take in college that don't appeal to your major, but they push you down the road in your education and opens your eyes up. So both of those programs did that to me.
Yeah, they were just kind of all part of the journey, I guess, at the end of the day.
Exactly.
And like Ches was saying, it's good that at least you recognize, you know what, I do need to look at this like a college. If I want to do this with any sort of consistent success, you got to approach this as you would if you want to, become a doctor or lawyer or anything. If you want to get into some sort of career field, odds are, YouTube and random stuff just isn't going to quite be enough. So, like I said, to piggyback off Ches, that was good that you at least recognize that, there's probably a little bit more to it than just watch some 10-minute video on YouTube and then I'm going to be successful at this. So you were going through this guy's chat room, and like you said, you just wasn't quite ones and zeros. You didn't quite feel right. So where did your journey take you from this point?
Well, I was following one of the people in his room, a young lady named Jules, and she linked a chart review one day, and I followed that chart review and came across a guy standing around in his T-shirt.
What a jerk! This guy sounds like a clown to me.
And I can't remember what ticker he was talking about at that time, Netflix or Facebook or something like that. And I watched you go through that and went, wow, that guy's really obviously comfortable with this, and I see what he's talking about. I can see the support and resistance lines. I can see what he's talking about in trends. I'm going to watch a little bit more of this guy. And of course, that was you.
Oh, I mean, that guy sounds fantastic. He doesn't sound like a jerk. I mean,
well, just the T-shirt part.
Yeah, just the T-shirt part. Yeah. So good. So is it safe to say that I kind of maybe whetted your appetite a little bit more in terms of wanting to learn about charts and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And just a short while after that, I went right to your site and I signed up for the IC to start with, because for the value, I looked after what I'd put in at that point. I thought it was $99. I went, what's $99? It's not even a few cups of coffee. Boom.
Yeah, $99 per year.
Yeah.
Not $99 even per month, but $99 per year. And I know what you're paying at these other places, so you're probably like, did you think like, is this like a scam or something? Did you ever have that? Because I always wonder, is this price low to the point where people are like, what's the catch here? Well, how can this only be, when other people are used to paying, $297 for 3 months or whatever? I've always kind of wondered, is the $99, did you ever think like that, or did you just not think anything of it?
Well, after I looked at a few of your other chart reviews, I went, well, this guy's totally undervaluing himself, but okay, I'll take advantage of it.
Okay. All right, good. Well, that makes me feel a little bit better in terms of not making people like pricing myself out of the market in terms of this sounds too sketchy. So you join the Inner Circle, which I see Inner Circle, which is our chat room. And how did things go from there? Walk us through, those first kind of few weeks of just being a part of the community.
Well, I watched for a while and started.
I
watched. All I did was watch.
Hey, there we go.
Are you telling me you didn't get in there, stand on a soapbox your first day and scream out a bunch of tickers and why they're going to go up or down? Are you telling me you did not do that, Dave?
Are you telling me you didn't just go and start buying random tickers just because they popped up in the chat room? Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah, that's right. I didn't buy anything.
Watch, such a powerful thing. And not just with our community, with anything. If you choose another chat room, that's cool. But at least watch when you first get in there for the first couple of weeks. Just such a powerful word. So well done, Dave. So sorry to cut you off, but little things like that make such a huge difference.
Yeah, I think about that time DT was posting up his daily invite or his comment when you join new, and he'd put that thing up, hey, don't trade,
Yep, that thing's a classic. Yep.
I love it. It should pop up first time every time. So I just sat there and I watched for a while and kept my finger off the trade button.
Well done.
And finger off the trade button is an extremely difficult thing, and anybody who is a trader can know how hard it is to sit on your hands and not be putting on trades. But yeah, kudos to you, and I just want to kind of completely repeat, no matter what chat room you go to, use your ears for a little bit and get the vibe of the room and just kind of see how things operate, because not every place is the same, and I can assure you most places are not even remotely the same. So you kind of take in the feel for this. You're enjoying kind of the analysis Clay does on YouTube. Are you at any point now starting to look at the alerts and either try to, we had some other guests in the past who try to reverse engineer alerts instead of kind of investing in any of the courses here. Did you do any stuff like that, or did you just kind of look at the alerts and some of them made sense, some of them didn't because we have some specific lingo here and there?
Yeah, I did try to reverse engineer some of them. I'd pull the chart up and look at what they're saying, but, for the life of me, I could not figure out what the heck a Mona Lisa was. I was stumped by quite a few of these things, and unfortunately didn't keep my finger off the no trade button because I thought I was figuring out what was going on with it, so I tried a few more trades because my account wasn't closed yet.
And how did those go?
Well, in the words of a radio host down here, not too good.
Not too good. So not too good. Well, at least you realize not too good. Were you taking the blame for those, or were you casting blame elsewhere?
I don't know if I was taking blame or not, but you squarely threw the blame on me one day. We were getting near the end of the market, and I was at that time playing with, I think it was JNUG Gold.
J-Nug, okay.
JNUG, yeah. And I took a trade, and when in the last 15 minutes, I posted in, holy crap, that was scary. My hands are shaking, and you called me out and said, well, clearly you don't know what you're doing, or you're trading with too big a size.
So I did tough love. We'll call that tough love, right? I mean,
I was good with that.
okay, so you weren't offended by it. You're like, okay, that may be a little harsh here, but what he's saying is true, right? I mean, you weren't. It sounds like you took it like I intended for you to take it.
Took it spot on.
So where did you go from there then? Did you realize at that point, what am I doing? Why am I scared when I'm trading? You should. Good point here. If you are scared when you were trading, for you listeners out there, something's not right. You should not be scared when you trade. If you are scared, if you're nervous, if you're sweating, there's something off. So that's the first thing you need to realize. So you were scared. I called you out, letting you know, hey, there's something massively wrong. So where did you go from there? Did you take the foot off the gas, or, I mean, how did things unfold from that point?
Well, I realized at that point that I was scared of every single trade I'd ever made. And I called up the trading company, and I closed my account completely. And I defunded it, and I posted that into the chat room. And I remember very clearly that Ches poked his head in and said, hey guys, what's going on? And somebody said, I don't remember who it was, said, well, Dave's jumped off the cliff. He's closed his trading account. And you asked why. And I said, because I'm buying robotic trading. And Ches responded back, good, he's investing in his education, so he's going the right direction.
I would give you a huge round of applause right now, but the viewers can do that themselves. And the fact that most people don't allow themselves the ability to pull the plug on their trading. They would rather bleed that account down, and their ego would step in and say, you'll be right at some point. You'll be right. Don't worry about it. And it's only until that account goes to zero that they go up. Well, shoot, I should have, I could have, allocated that money elsewhere. I could have at least taken it out of the market, put it in another account, just out of sight, out of mind. So just put it in a place where you can't lose it. But you took the money out and you invested in your education. So yes, I'm very happy, and I knew that I would react the same way. And I do remember the day that you actually had said that you had kind of defunded your account.
Yeah,
I think. Go ahead.
I was just. I got to comment on this because forget about the fact that you bought one of our courses. That's great. Don't get me wrong, but put that aside. Just to echo what Ches is saying, for you to just be like, all right, I'm defunding the account. Most people would say, oh, defunding the account, that means you're giving up, you loser. Don't give up. Don't give up. But that's the stupid voices in your head that want to try to play those mind games with you. So for you to just even defund it in the first place, it's sure on the surface, well, that appears like you're giving up. Well, not good job, quitter. But in the world of trading, that's like the smartest thing you could possibly do when you don't know what you're doing, because those voices are going to keep showing up. Just try it again. Just try it again. Like Jess said, you're eventually going to be right.
Exactly. The next one's it.
The next one, yeah, exactly. The next one's it. And that it is going to be huge. And before you know it, the next one is, oh, look, I can only buy 2 shares because I have 50 cents left in my account. So so good job to you. I mean, that's sorry to cut you off there, Ches, but I had to comment on that too, because that's a big step. And if I'm being honest, when I got started, I never ever defunded my account, but I'm not quite sure I would ever have been able to, just because I think the voices would have just owned on me and been like, quitter, quitter, quitter. But that's not what you were doing. You were taking a different path and a smarter path. So props to you for that. So you bought robotic trading. Take us from that point forward.
I loved robotic trading. It made perfect sense. Going through the course, I saw so many things and understood the analysis that you do, supports, resistance, trend lines. It was just so obvious. I'm going, why couldn't I have found this guy the first time out?
I was a little nervous when I asked you, because I'm like, crap, this guy seems, he's kind of, I'll call you high maintenance when it comes to courses, which is good. Everybody should be high maintenance. So I'm not saying that as an insult. I'm just saying you expect something. So I'm like, oh crap, is he going to give me some hardcore constructive criticism here? But okay, so I can now breathe a little easier. So I'm glad that.
Lay into him, Dave. Forget that.
Come on, Dave. Dave, I'm in the cold. Remember, I'm already cold, Dave. I don't need any more. Just be kind.
Well, I laughed at so many of them and said, well, that's a perfect analogy. I love it. The scuba tank.
Yes.
Scuba thing's a great one too.
That's RVR trading, if I remember right.
Yes. Well, that was what I went on to next because I wasn't structuring my trades well, and I wasn't getting out. At this point, I was in paper because I closed everything and I opened up a TOS paper account, and I would be there, and then all of a sudden I would be making money, and then it would be gone. And I'm like, well, how did I lose that money? I didn't understand RVR.
Yep, and that's the real, only way to kind of have long-term success. Don't get me wrong, you might hit a lottery play once in a blue moon, but you probably have more of a chance of getting struck by lightning, so you can't really count on that. But yeah, those are two extremely important courses. And what I want the listeners to really take away from this as well is that as he's going through these courses, he is practicing these trades and what he's learning on paper, and he is finding immediately what works, what doesn't work, and it kind of throws him up a huge red flag that he had trouble structuring trades, and making winners be bigger than losers. And trust me, there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. And if you're greedy, you can watch a nice gain go straight back to zero, as many of our other guests have kind of spoken in the past. But so now obviously I know you've gone through a hefty amount of courses. And you've really put the time in, and it's not like you've been doing this for a week or two. You've been doing this for quite some time. So where are you now?
And he's an avid. I'll let you keep going. And he's an avid, routine person on the live webinars. So when Ches says that he's been putting in the time, he's putting in the time. He's a name that I've grown used to seeing at the live webinars. So just want to echo you there, Ches.
Yeah. If I'm at work on an evening, then I will definitely follow it up the very moment it's posted. But I rearranged my schedule. I'm not with that accounting firm anymore. I'm with a large auto parts company, nationwide company, and because I'm a manager there, I was able to structure my hours. And so I tell them, look, I want Tuesday nights off, and I want to work late most days so that I have my mornings off, and I want my days off during the week, not on the weekends. So I was asking to work weekends and nights, and they thought that was terrific.
That's, you love trading when you're like, you know what, I want to work weekends, and I might rant here a little bit. This is why, I don't have time. I can't be a trader. I don't have time. Listen to what Dave just said. He's freaking working on weekends and working late at night so he can trade during the morning. So exactly. I don't want to hear it, people. I don't have time. It's too difficult. Doesn't fit my schedule. Get proactive. Now, now if you work at some jobs, I realize Dave has maybe a little bit more leverage than other people may have. But again, listen to what he's saying. He's actively asking, I want to work weekends and I want to work late at night. Ches,
the dedication,
like I said, no excuses, right, Ches? No excuses.
No excuses at all. He's literally reworking his life so that he can, work on things that are important to him. And, like you said, you can't do that at every single job, but there are things you can always do. There's always something that you can do to kind of help you in your journey for this. So there are no excuses. And when you come at me and try to whine and complain that you don't have enough time, boo-hoo, I'm going to tell you, you're just full of excuses.
You asked me, do you know what alarm clock is? Did you know that 5 a.m. actually exists? And I say that I can say that without being a hypocrite, because there's been plenty of times, and you can ask my wife, and it's 5 a.m. because if I'm working on a course or doing something else, you just gotta make it happen. And believe it or not, a alarm clock is a powerful thing, and 5 a.m. does exist, believe it or not. So, anyways, I could rant on this because I get sick of it all. So many excuses out there and why people can't do anything, and it's make it happen. Make it happen.
I'm going to support you with one more thing too.
Please bring it on. Feed the fire.
I'm a Dunkin' Donuts junkie with coffee. I'm a coffee snob, and I gave it up, and I drink my $1 coffee now.
So you're
that example right there is just so glaringly. I don't even know how to say more. I'm speechless. Okay, you've literally just taken what I said in the fact that there's always something you can do, and I kind of did the same thing. I stopped going out to lunch just to save that extra money and to kind of eventually put it back into a trading account. So you are just living it, Dave. You are a living example of what we hope people do, and I'm gonna keep it's possible. I'm going to keep going, or wake up at 5 a.m. But I was up to 11 watching Game of Thrones on HBO that I pay for.
enough said. Okay. I mean, just good grief. All right. So we got to get back on topic because I'm going to lose it over here. I have already lost it, but I don't even know where we were. All right. Yeah. So actually, I want to kind of fast forward now to, present day. Where are you at right now? And talk to us about that little challenge that you started at the beginning of the year, because I know you were just tearing it up. So walk us through that little section, because that really goes to show how hard work, time, dedication, sacrifice, all those words that have described your journey up until now, really begin to pay off. So hopefully you know what I'm hinting at here, but walk us back to, the beginning of the year.
Sure. I spent all last year just paper trading and interacting with DT and Jules and RD and Yansky and back and forth, building a trading plan for me, trying to figure out what I do. And towards the end of the year, I think it was Jules who threw out the idea of a $500 trading challenge. And I thought, well, I'm going to give this a try. I seem to have a plan that seems to be working here. I'd been paper testing it from October until about mid-December. And so I opened up an account, went and opened up a new account with TD Ameritrade and joined the $500 challenge. I funded the account with $500, and I have some very disciplined sheet that I wrote up that makes me look at the account the trade. I trade only SPY right now, every single day, and I have the sheet that I go through, and I've had some pretty good results with it. In the course of January, I took the account from 500 to just a little under 1,200 during the time that I traded.
And right there, that's over 100% gain. And
Exactly.
so, I mean, and it was growing, and you were building. And then I know you had some things pop up in your personal life, so that kind of put things on hold. But where are you at right now? I mean, is the account back in chugging again, or just fill us in with where kind of you are present day?
Well, I had a big family issue, and I emptied the account down to almost nothing. And after that issue had passed, I came back in and opened the account again started it all over again with $500. And I was looking at it this morning. I've made 10 trades, and it is sitting at 862. I've taken it from 500 the beginning of February to there now with actually 11 trades.
He's almost made up 50% on that already in 11 trades. It's just remarkable.
Now, if you're sitting there saying $500 to $800, $500 to $1,200, who cares? You, my friend, have been brainwashed by the late night infomercial marketing tactics, where you are associating, well, I'd be impressed if it was $500 to $50,000. You have been brainwashed. What Dave is doing, and what so many people don't realize, is he's building habits. And what kind of habits? Good habits. He is learning how to trade, and he is doing it the right way. So again, and be honest with yourself, when Dave was saying those numbers, if you're like, that's not impressive, you've been brainwashed. You've let the late night infomercial marketing get to you. And that's fine. I was brainwashed too. But what Dave is doing, like I said, is he's going about it the quote unquote boring way. But the boring way is the way it's got to go. I mean, because that's what's going to allow you to build good habits as a trader, learn risk management, learn how to build a plan, learn how to follow a plan, and then learn how to manage the trade after you get in it. So, if you caught yourself kind of thinking that's okay. It's time for you to detox from the brainwashing that's been happening. That's what the game is all about. So you are trading, you kind of already touched on this, but when you say you're only trading SPY, you meant that in a literal sense, right? You're not trading any other tickers, right?
Not another ticker. The only thing I'm doing on this account is SPY, and I'm doing that because of the liquidity of it. It's not it's not volatile because it's not being controlled by one person, who you suddenly find out sitting on the side of the road in his underwear, drunk in his Lamborghini wrapped around a tree, and then all of a sudden the stock tanks on you and you didn't know about that.
Right. And just to clarify, when you say SPY, you're talking about the options associated with SPY, right?
Exactly. Yes, the options.
Okay.
And for those especially newer listeners, the SPY is the ETF for pretty much the S&P market. So it is a basket of many things that, like he's saying, it's not just one stock with somebody who has a large controlling kind of share of it, dictating whatever he wants to do with it or kind of offload whatever. But that's besides the point. So a common thing though is that we always ask traders that we do interview is let us in on a little bit of your strategy. What particularly are you looking for in your trades? I know when we started this, primarily you like shorting more than you like going long, so you like things to go down more so than going up. And what is on your chart? What kind of indicators are you using?
Well, I've got a couple of indicators. I have stochastics, and I have MACD. I put on Bollinger Bands as well, and I have a script that I got from, I don't know who it was in the room, that brackets the 10-minute opening on a 1-minute chart, so I can see the high and the low during that 10-minute time, which typically not typically, 35% of the time is going to be either the high or the low of the day on that ticker. And so using that, I'm looking for it to be approaching these support and resistance lines that I map out every day, and see how they react when they get to that 10-minute script and Bollinger Bands and some moving averages. I've got a 50 SMA and a 10 SMA.
So you mean you just don't wake up and just start randomly buying stuff? That sounds kind of like you have a strategy and you have a system in place. I mean, that's...
Yeah.
So there's a little bit more to this game than just what maybe some people may lead you to believe. Is that a pretty accurate, fair statement?
Oh, absolutely. That sheet that I forwarded on to you, I set it up because I like a computer programmer. I like switches on or switches off, and you always talk about putting as many things in your corner as possible. So each one of these things either sets a switch that the stock's trending up or it's trending down. And I build my plan around how many switches I set here.
I like that. I was going to say, are you like an electrical engineer? But you said you're in the world of it. What is your degree in? Computer?
My degree was in computer sciences, specifically languages. When I left college, I could write in about 12 different languages.
And then isn't there like switches within code and stuff like that? I'm trying to think, where in your mind are you? Because I love the analogy that you use. Like, I want to see as many like switches as you would want to see, and the more switches, the better.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great one. And I will vow, he sent me his sheet, and the thing is, I don't even know. The thing is pure butter. I'm just going to leave it at that. I mean, the thing is nice. It's pretty intense, and you can tell some time went into it. So I'll just I'm not shocked to see that you're finding your groove, because you're putting together a system that works for you. And Ches, I want you to comment on this too, but I found it interesting when you asked him what's on your chart. Stochastics, MACD, Bollinger Bands. I think he's the first person, and we've had over 50 episodes now, that has said that combination, which really just goes to show there's many ways up the mountain.
There's many ways up the mountain, and I truly believe there's nothing. I say this all the time, and I'll continue to say it probably until the end of the podcast, whenever that is going to be, is that I really don't think that two traders trade the same way. I think a lot of people pick up on stuff from, what they learn. And the important thing is that, Dave knows all the tools in his tool belt, and he has found what works specifically for him. And, those switches are very unique to him. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure there's another trader around the world somewhere that might use kind of a similar combination, but just like Clay said, in the over 50 episodes we've done this, I've never actually heard that combination from anybody else.
Yeah, so if you think that's like a magic formula and you're going to go out there and throw those on your charts and then be fine, I promise you there's more to it than just that. You have to find what works for you from a personal risk tolerance level. So a question that I love to ask here, Dave, is let's talk kind of some strengths and weaknesses. So what are some things that you feel you're doing very well right now? And then what are some things that you'd probably think, you know what, Dave, I need to work on that a little bit more. So you can start with a strength or a weakness. I'll leave that up to you.
Well, I'll go with a strength that I picked up from webinars and other things is risk mitigation. Right at the bottom of my worksheet, if I'm doing 10 contract lots at 5% win, 5 of them come off. I take half of them off the table right away to mitigate risk. And it took me a year of paper trading to learn to take money out while I'm ahead.
Are you telling me that there's a voice in your head that'll say, "Oh, 5% is measly. I'm going to go for 50%." Are you telling me that there's a voice in your head that says, even when you're up, that you should be looking for more?
Oh yeah, that voice is there, which is why I wrote it down right at 10 contract lots. The next line says at 5%, half come off.
And it should be a mechanical rule for a lot of people, and a lot of people don't take. I'm the same exact way. I have a set target in the beginning, and then I have I let the trade plan follow through if it's gonna hit where I'm going to go. But you got to take the money while it's there, and it'll especially help out, especially if say the trade just decides to turn around, some report comes out for the market or oil or whatever it is, and sometimes trade plans don't work out. What you've done is, since you've taken some off, mitigating, that loss that you already had, you already have a plan, you have a stop loss in place. It's only even smaller now, and that kind of, shows and helps that, you already have a 50% account growth with 11 trades. So stuff like that is just amazing. And it's those little things that a lot of traders don't kind of pick up on and wonder why they're struggling. But
yeah, and I set that first sell the minute I'm in the trade. I go and set my first sell.
Yep, I'm the same exact way. Now a huge distinguisher generally from what we find throughout people is, how did you used to react to a losing trade versus, what is your mentality and your mind state? Say if you took a loss today, what would be the differences between when you started and now?
Well, now I look at it like a baseball game. Okay, I lost an inning, or I didn't get a hit. That's okay. There's another chance to get at bat, and since I'm keeping my losses very small, in fact, during the month of February, I had 2% loss about halfway through the month, and I didn't even worry about it. I didn't give it a second thought.
Well, that's because, like you said, it's like a third inning. You still got plenty of innings left in this ball game. I love that analogy.
Yeah. So I didn't let that bother me, but I still fight that demon of, oh, hold on a little bit longer. I promise it'll come back. It'll come back. You'll get the money back.
Welcome to the club. I think I don't know if that voice ever goes away. Maybe it does for some, but I don't know. For me, it still shows up every now and then and has caused me to do some stupid things. But at least you know that the voice exists and you know how to identify the voice. I think that's the key thing there, is just not saying, oh, I'm perfect. You can acknowledge that, there's still some things that, there's some landmines out there that some of those voices are still, trying to lay out there for you. So looking at the time, I don't know where it's gone. This has been a great interview, but we'll start to wrap things up here. So Ches has a time machine, and given that you've listened to all the podcasts except one, I'm sure you are well aware of this. So you know what question's coming. If we lent you that time machine and you could go back to the start, I guess in 1993, maybe I'll let you pick the time because it sounds like you had some, gaps in when you were really active. But if you could go back to a certain point in, the past and give yourself a bit of advice, what would it be?
I definitely would have started this way sooner. I'm 57 now. I would have done it back in 1993 or sometime.
It being actively trading. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I probably would have jumped in with my friend who was doing his options trading and started a little earlier. I waited really late, and I would have liked to have gotten into this because I think it would have been a lot more fun. Well, no, it couldn't have been more fun. This is a great time.
Yeah, everything you did in the past was just kind of getting you to this point here. So you arrived when you needed to arrive, and of course, I started trading at 24 years old, and I wish I had started at 18. We have some members who have actually just been recently joining who are, we get emails from 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds, and I'm jealous of that. And I'm only in my 20s still, so we always wish we could start sooner. The important part is you're here and you're working on good habits.
Yeah, one of my associates at work has joined the inner circle, and he questions me about every time he sees me. We work together, and I go, well, here's what I'm doing, and talking a little bit about SPY. And I said, man, you have forever. You're just a young kid. You have forever, man. Take your time.
Yeah, well, has he talked at all in the chat room?
Yes, he has. He is the Don.
Okay.
The Don. Yes, I recognize that name.
Well, thank you for the referral then, sir.
Yep. Always appreciate it. Now,
were you paid for the referral? Let's just get that out there.
I understand my mind shares are on the way.
Yes, they're in the mail. They should be to you tomorrow. And Ches, don't worry about it. Yours should be to you tomorrow too. Okay.
Yeah, I've been hearing that for over 50 weeks myself here. Now, Dave, probably the most important question that Clay wants to know here, and it will determine if we even air this podcast or, completely ban you from the community. What would you say is your favorite movie?
Oh, Dumb and Dumber?
Is it really?
No, I've never
Oh,
watched
come
it.
on. So you can't tease me like that. That's cool.
I mean, I only know one quote, and that's because somebody put it in the lounge today.
What quote's that?
Oh, I don't know. They were talking about, gee, I thought that this
Yeah,
was.
I don't- that-
turns
yeah,
out it
Hooch-
was the most brilliant thing you've ever did. He's sitting on a scooter or something.
Yeah. That Hooch, I think, posted that video. Yep. So
Exactly,
I know.
that one.
Yep. But what is your favorite movie?
Oh gosh, anything with Clint Eastwood in it, I love him.
So does Clint Eastwood have to be in it, or could you like the show or the movies that he directs also?
Oh, I like the movies he directs too. Yeah,
Okay.
but I'll watch pretty much anything that he's in at all. In fact, my favorite quote I quoted to you the other day was right out of a Clint Eastwood movie.
Go ahead, make my day. Was it that? No, it wasn't that one.
No, it was, and I'll do the voice for you, Jones. If you ever pull a stunt like that again, the only thing that'll beat you to the hospital are the headlights of the ambulance you're driving in.
Hey, with our first impression, it's only taken us over 50 episodes for somebody to have the guts to do it. And Ches, you remember before I get started, wasn't somebody saying they were a little bit nervous about this?
Yeah.
Yep.
And now
was
this
saying
guy's
it,
doing
yeah.
now. The nervous guy's now the first person that's ever done an impression. So well done. That was fantastic. That made my day actually. To
Well,
go
what's the
from
movie?
nervous. What's the movie?
Yes.
I have no idea.
Yeah, Clay's the movie guy here too. Yeah, remember when he
What
used
is-
to go on a streak? Yeah, that was
I feel
fun.
like I've never seen it though.
Heartbreak Ridge.
Okay, yep, never seen that. Sounds like I should give it a watch then, right?
Oh yeah, great movie.
Okay, because I am actively making a movie list for my wife and I as we go through guests. So, anyways, we're just like the movie podcast. All of a sudden, what do you like to eat?
Oh, I could eat pizza all day long.
What kind of pizza?
Oh, pretty much the round kind will do it for me.
What a wise guy! What a wise guy!
You know what? I bet you he would even eat it if it was square. So I think
There's no bad pizza.
There you go. Now, what would you say is an exotic place you'd like to visit someday?
Oh, I definitely have. Who's the guy that's from down there? Is it Coco that's down in the Dominican Republic?
Yeah,
Who's
Coco is down in the Caribbean. I know.
Yeah, I looked at that and went, "Oh, I'm sun powered. I need to go there."
Very nice, very nice. It's already warm enough for you anyway, so I don't even know why. Whatever.
Well, the heat's been off, for the last week and a half.
Oh yeah, it's like been 60 degrees. So sorry. So
Yeah.
sorry.
You wouldn't understand, Clay. You
Yeah,
wouldn't.
I just would not understand. We'll do one final more. What do you like to do for fun? Hobbies?
I do a little bit of light running, and I not so much anymore race mountain bikes.
Ooh, that sounds intense.
It was until I crashed real bad one time.
Hence, that sounds intense. I've done a little bit of that and have flown over the handlebars a couple of times.
Dave, was that you who posted the video of the mountain bikers on that active or inactive volcano? Was that you
Yeah.
who posted that in chat?
Yeah, the Inca Avalanche. That's me.
Yep, yeah. So I love mountain biking as well. I used to do it all the time, especially when I was younger. But yeah, it can be pretty brutal, if you do end up taking a tumble. But it's a ton of fun and it's a great workout for sure.
Let's take a road trip together. We can go do that one.
We should. Now, another very important question we do always ask our interviewees here is, what are 3 words you believe are associated with successful traders?
Patience. I have my setup here, but I wait as long as it takes for the switches that I want to come on before I trade now. And you've got to be determined in your education. You've really got to put some time in on it. You just can't get it in one day. I mean, I paper traded for a year before I felt like I was successful enough to get back in live again. And you got to be also humble enough to realize that you have made a mistake and the trade is going the wrong way, and get out.
I like that word, humble. Humility. You got to be humble, show some humility, because, you're going to be wrong in this business. And if you think that's, oh, no, I'm going to be right all the time. Whew, I don't even know what to say to that.
You'll go
this
down
is
in
not
flames.
this is not the business for you. Well, Dave, we'll wrap things up here. So thank you very much. This was a great interview. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And for somebody that was, self-proclaimed nervous before he got started. Ches, he held his own just fine, didn't he?
I'd say he certainly did just fine.
Yeah, but I've been standing up the whole time.
Well, it works. Maybe you should try standing up when you trade too. I don't know. Maybe that'll jumpstart things that much more.
I've got a standing desk.
There you go. So, well, in all seriousness, again, thank you very much for hanging out and appreciated you taking time out of your day to just tell us your story. So thank you.
Thank you.
For those of you listening, if you're listening on our website, please click that share button, leave us a comment below. We do read all those, and we like to hear what you out there in the community or just even outside of the community are thinking. So, we're always welcoming to that. If you're listening to this on iTunes or any of the other podcast players, please subscribe, leave us feedback, and, just let us know what you're thinking. Like I said, little clicks of the button, such as a subscribe, they really do go a long way. So with that being said, thank you very much for hanging out with us, and we'll see you back for the next episode.
This has been the Stock Trading Reality Podcast. Thanks for taking the time to hang out. To learn more about Clay and the ClayTrader community, including the trading team, premium training, and more, visit ClayTrader.com.